need to take control of what you want your future to look like. And if you think that freelancing might be a part of that, you need to start today. Hit the ground running and get your freelancing business off the ground. Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. If you don't know me, my name is Dana. I typically make more vlog style content, but today's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be telling you all about freelancing. I know a lot of people that follow me because I balance a ton of different things in my life. I'm an artist, as a dancer and a poet. I have a 9-to-5 job as a fundraiser for an art and design college. I also create content on TikTok and YouTube, and I have a freelance book editing business, which has become incredibly successful for me as a side hustle over the last couple of years. I know a lot of you are similar to me in that you have many passions and are kind of trying to live outside of the box, and that you yourself might be interested either in upping your game in freelancing or getting started with freelancing or a side hustle of some kind. I've been doing this for a little bit now, and it does take a while to figure out and kind of get your footing in the freelancing world. So what my hope is today is that by sharing how I got to where I am, as well as some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way, you can kind of skip all of that stuff and just kind of get started right away, hit the ground running, and get your freelancing business off the ground. I am going to include timestamps in the description so that if you're interested in a specific part of this, you can skip right to it. I hope you enjoy this and that it's super useful, so let us jump right into it. I'm going to start by telling you beginning to end how I got to where I am today with my freelancing business. I'd say it all starts in college. I never really knew what I wanted to do career-wise, but I loved higher ed and learning, and I just wanted to push myself to think and, explore and read and do all of these things. So I majored in English with a focus in creative writing and minored in French and philosophy. So although I wasn't super career focused, I did know that I kind of needed to make a plan for myself so that I could earn money in the future. When you study English, you kind of get presented with two career options: being a professor, staying in academia. Oftentimes that means you would go on to get a master's degree or a PhD in order to teach either creative writing or English respectively at the college level. So that was something that for a lot of my life I thought that I wanted to do, and I actually have done it. I was a professor. I did teach essay writing and creative writing for about a year and a half and did decide that it was not for me. I loved teaching college students. It was an incredible experience, but I found that I was just so drained after every single class, and also that a lot of people in that industry are very undervalued. Professors do not get paid their worth, and there is so much work outside of the classroom that a lot of people do not see. I'm sure most teachers of any kind can relate to this. I found myself just feeling absolutely exhausted after every class. I am also an introvert, so although I do like leading spaces and I'm familiar and very comfortable with being in front of the room, doing that kind of constantly as my job was something that for me personally kind of sucked the energy and the life out of me. It was hard, but I had to acknowledge that being a professor really wasn't going to be what I was going to do. The other career path that you're presented with is working in the literary publishing industry. So working for either a literary journal or a book press of some kind. And I also did that. As a poet, I kind of wanted to see behind the scenes in literary journals, thinking maybe I could get a better chance with my submissions and getting my own work out there if I really got familiar with the back end of how literary journals and magazines were working. That's how it started out, but I ended up really liking the work. I worked for my first literary journal in undergrad. It was Poetry East, which is out of DePaul University in Chicago, where I did my undergrad. And I took an internship there, absolutely loved working with the small team, being around poetry, when I went into work every day. And the professor, who was also the editor of the journal, hired me on as his research assistant so that I could continue my work there. And I continued on to graduate school to get my Master's of Fine Arts degree in poetry, which I did on a full fellowship. I continued working in the literary publishing space because it was a very clear kind of trajectory for me. So I ended up being a senior editorial assistant at one of the most most prestigious literary journals in the country. There I ran the submission manager and kind of did all of the coordination between the authors, editors, and judges all the way from the first submission of the piece to its publication if it was chosen for publication. It's another industry in which people are undervalued and underpaid. Even at some of the best book presses, editorial assistants make extremely low salaries that, hardly cover the cost of living in Boston. And I'm someone who's kind of equally creative minded and business minded. I really like to use both of those things. And I just felt that neither of those things were really being challenged on a day-to-day basis while I was working in the publishing industry. So I started to kind of look at other options. And today my 9-to-5 job, like I said, is as a fundraiser for an art and design college. And I absolutely love that. I get to be creative, be around creativity, and I'm really challenged every single day to innovate, find new ideas, etc. But my time in the literary publishing industry, as well as studying English creative writing for my undergrad and graduate degree, gave me something extremely valuable. I guess being a professor also contributes to this too. But essentially what I had was a valuable skill set that I could then utilize when I decided that I wanted to start freelancing. Freelancing really started for me after grad school. I had gotten my full-time job, which did have a nice salary, but I wanted to be paying down my debt more intentionally, my student loan debt, and I also had my wedding coming up, and I wanted to be bringing in a little bit of extra money for that so that I could get a few more of the things that I wanted. Really, freelancing started for me as a means to an end. So I thought, okay, what skills do I already have that I can use to bring in some extra money? And the thing that I landed on was editing. I was already familiar with sites like Fiverr and Upwork, freelancing platforms, so I just decided to make profiles on them and offer a few different services and just kind of see what would take off. Upwork never really took off for me. Fiverr, however, did take off, and it took off almost immediately, and as soon as I started getting orders, the orders never stopped. And the service that took off like crazy was book editing. With the extreme rise of self-publishing today, there are so many authors out there who want to self-publish, often first-time, second-time, third-time authors that really need an expert to help them out with all aspects of their book, from developmental editing all the way down to, grammar and punctuation and stuff like that. And these individuals were just flocking to Fiverr to find a book editing expert to help them out with this process. I started to rack up really good reviews. I got to the point where I was raising my prices and turning away work every single week. I got to the point where I was booking out for 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead of time just from having this profile on Fiverr. Eventually I realized, okay, so this could really work for me. This could be something not only that I'm doing just to bring in some extra money, but it could really I could build this into something. The best part about it was that I really enjoyed doing it too. I loved helping these authors who had such incredible ideas and excitement about bringing their ideas and books into the world, and I could help facilitate making sure that the book was the absolute best that it could be before they put it out there. And these people are just so kind and have incredible stories and information to share with the world. So I not only realized that I could really build it into a business, but I also realized that I was extremely passionate about it. So I started to think, okay, if this is really going to work for me, I can't put all my eggs in one basket with Fiverr. Fiverr's working great for me, but in order to make this a sustainable business, I really need to be kind of trying to build it organically and outside of any platform. I'll talk about that a lot more in the tips and tricks section, because I do believe that nobody should be putting all of their eggs in one basket with freelancing. So at that point, I started posting more about freelancing on social media. I told, any chance that I get, I tell people in my life that I edit books. I have, of course, a network of people in the literary industry, authors, other poets and writers like myself, who I make sure know that I do this work. I put my work as an editor on my personal website so that if anybody lands there, they are able to contact me. I got onto other great sites that are up and coming, like Contra, which is now where I host my portfolio of work that I share with potential clients. And I'm now at the point where I have kind of a combination of clients from freelancing platforms as well as organically from other sources. I recently got accepted into the Fiverr Pro program, which essentially means getting larger buyers with higher higher budgets and being able to up my prices yet again. So I'm actually currently working on my onboarding for that program. That's going to be incredible. And I'm also just kind of starting to see the effects of making it known out there in the world that I do this work. Maybe somebody that you tell in your life today isn't going to have a book for you to edit, but a year from now when they have written a book, they're going to think of, okay, who do I know that can help me with this? And they think of me. Just the fact that I'm unabashed about sharing on social media with my friends and family and networks and, essentially anybody that I meet that I edit books, that is what is creating this kind of webbed network effect of people coming back to me when they have a need for this service. I personally just believe that nobody should be put in a box of doing one thing. I also don't believe that we should be chained and tied to these 9-to-5 jobs that don't value us, that underpay us. I think everybody should have something that they are building and creating for themselves. And I think that you don't have to choose. Maybe you want to freelance full time, and maybe one day I will do that too. But for now, my 9-to-5 job and my freelancing business and my dance company and my poetry and my content, they all are fulfilling different parts of me. And, it does mean that I'm an extremely busy person and that I'm working a lot. But at the same time, it means that I'm satisfied and content in so many different areas of my life because I'm pursuing all of my passions. I think that virtual work, remote work, being able to work digitally, anything where you can earn money with just a laptop, Wi-Fi, and some time is extremely powerful because of the freedom that it provides you. So even my 9-to-5 job is remote, and that is what not having a commute and having the flexibility of a hybrid/remote job is what allows me to do all of these other things so easily. Of course, I would still do this if I had to go into an office. You can freelance on the train on your way home. You can freelance all day on Saturday or all day on Sunday, and you can still make it into an extremely lucrative side hustle. I probably work on my freelancing business, I would say 10 to 12 hours per week. And I am making, I would say, about $500 per week from freelancing, $2,000 additional dollars per month in addition to my 9-to-5 job salary. And I have purposely grown my business very slowly and intentionally. I could be making a lot more than that by now, but I really try to do things in a way that feels right to me and, not all about the money, not all about the growth, but let's just say that I'm continuing to raise my prices often, so the value of that small amount of hours that I can give to this business continues to increase. And now, sort of, where am I headed? The next things that are on my mind are, of course, continuing to grow the organic leads for my business, so ensuring that one day, I won't have to rely on something like a Fiverr or an Upwork at all to get clients. The other thing is building up some passive products. So for instance, potentially making a lot of the information that I'm putting into a YouTube video like this into an ebook that people can buy for a very small amount of money, or into an online course where I'm kind of recording different modules with exercises that people can do to kind of get started on their own freelancing journey. Definitely let me know if you're interested in products like that, because I'd be happy to make them, and they would be a great step up for me in my business. It is time now to move on to my step-by-step sort of guide for you to get started with freelancing yourself. First things first, you need to have a skill that you can offer. You need to decide what service you want to offer as a freelancer. I do book editing, but this could really be anything for you. Almost any skill that you have can be offered on a freelance basis. Some of the most common ones are writing for blogs, websites, ebooks, etc., graphic design, user experience design, virtual assistant, social media management, voiceover artist, voice acting, website coding and creation, app coding and creation. Those are just a few that I could think of off the top of my head that are relatively common, but if you go onto any freelance marketplace like a Fiverr or an Upwork and you go ahead and just browse through the services services that people are offering on there, there's a ton, and it can help kind of get your brainstorming wheels going. You might be someone like me who already has a very specific and highly skilled skill set that you can utilize for this. If not, there's no shame in having to go out and learn something. You know, there are a ton of online courses today, a lot of them actually free, in fact, that you could take to begin to learn a skill that you can offer as a freelancer. That being said, I would say a common path is that people work in a more traditional work environment for an employer, and then they take whatever skill they were doing in that environment and switch over to freelancing for that skill. Me, I was working in literary publishing, and then I took that skill set and transferred it over to a freelancing service that I could offer. I could do that again today with my current 9-to-5 job as a fundraiser. I could take the skills that I do at my 9-to-5 every day and transfer that into freelancing services as a fundraising consultant, fundraising copywriter, etc. So you've decided on your skill, you know what you want to offer. Now you need to be able to showcase that work to potential clients. So I recommend making a portfolio somewhere. You can make your portfolio on a freelancing site like a Fiverr or an Upwork, but I highly recommend having it separated out somewhere else that's not tied to a freelancing marketplace, because then you can use and share it at your will and potentially use it to build your organic business off of those websites. I personally have my portfolio available on my personal website, and I also currently have been using Contra, which is an incredible new freelancing platform for independents to kind of run their business out of. And they have a beautiful interface for hosting your portfolio and your services. And if people do purchase your services through them, it's a 0% commission fee. If you can't tell, I love Contra, not sponsored, but I just think they're great and they're doing really good things. That is a no-cost solution because you don't have to purchase a domain. Something like a Squarespace costs like $100 a year or something like that. You won't have to do that because it's 100% free to sign up and use Contra's platform. But the bottom line is you need to make a portfolio. You need to be able to showcase the work that you can do. Spend a lot of time on this. You're gonna need really good pictures and graphics. You're going to need projects that you can present that you have worked on from the past that people can easily peruse through and see what you can do. And you need to present it in a way that convinces the prospect that they would like to work with you. So you really need to take your time on building this profile portfolio so that it's appealing to your potential clients, especially at first. If you don't have a lot of clients yet, it's really important that you establish your kind of ethos and authority through having a really good portfolio for people to look at. Now you might say, okay, but I've never done this before. I don't have anything to put in a portfolio. Here's the thing, if that is the case for you, you need to be a little bit resourceful. Do fake projects or do a small project for a family or friend for free in order to create work samples for your portfolio. So say you're like me and you need to show that you can edit books. Ask a friend that if you can look at a few pages of their book for free and edit it for them and use it for your portfolio. If you want to write blog posts, write fake blog posts for companies that haven't even hired you. If you want to do graphic design, remake logos for companies, even if they haven't hired you to do so. You know, you got to get a little bit resourceful if you don't have current work samples, because how are people supposed to hire you if they don't have a visual, clear aid of what you are capable of doing? In the freelancing world, people don't really care about your college degrees. For me, I happen to have very related degrees and people are, you know, happy to see that I'm a writer myself when I'm editing their book. But that being said, it's not very often that people ask me about my degrees. It is often that people ask me if they can see samples of work that I've done before. All right, so you've chosen what you want to do, you have your work samples and you've built your beautiful portfolio and you're ready to start working. Now, probably the most important and also the most difficult aspect of this whole thing is finding clients. You need to find people to hire you for your services. I recommend taking a multifaceted approach to finding clients. Anyone that's telling you that one website or one client funnel or one strategy is the best way to do things, maybe that works for them, but it might not work for you. None of these things work for everyone. As an example, for me, Fiverr has been extremely successful in finding high-paying quality clients to work with. However, in a lot of other services, Fiverr has a reputation for being awful and people, only wanting to pay as little as possible for services. So just know that depending on what you're doing, what industry and niche you're working in, things can be super different across the board. I highly recommend that you do not put your eggs in one basket. Yes, sign up for, freelancing marketplaces like Fiverr or Upwork, and those may be a really good place for you to start in getting your business off the ground and getting those first few clients. They also manage contracts and payments for you, and they funnel you clients with Fiverr, or they funnel you job postings with Upwork. So those can be a good place to start because they're doing a lot of the work of being an independent business owner for you. So it can kind of be like, it's like living in a dorm before you go get an apartment. The Fiverrs and the Upworks of the world are your dorm room where you're kind of learning how to live as a freelancer while they kind of help you out with a few things before you can go out and be on your own. The second thing that I recommend is applying for freelancing opportunities. There's kind of a misconception that as a freelancer, clients have to come and find you, and if they don't find you, there's no way for you to get business. This is not true. You can actually apply for freelancer jobs. On Upwork, as an example, you can apply for each opportunity that's listed on Upwork. There's other ones as well. One of my favorites is a site called Creatively, which posts all sorts of freelance-based creative jobs at different companies. Really cool companies too. My favorite up-and-coming one recently is Contra. They have new approved opportunities all the time, and often they're from like really cool startups and stuff like that. I've seen them posting stuff in UX design, writing, user-generated content is a big one, like TikTok managers, stuff like that. New opportunities coming up every day on platforms like Contra, Upwork, etc. And for each niche, there are probably some different websites that you can also look at to apply directly for freelancing opportunities. So applying for the opportunities can be a really good way to get off the ground, get your first few reviews, testimonials, etc. And the last and most important way to go about getting clients and building your business for the long run, not just to, earn a bit of money tomorrow, is to shout from the rooftops about what you're doing. And there are a ton of different ways that you can do this, so I'm just gonna list a few for you. The first one is social media. And this is not a deal breaker, so if you don't have social media, don't worry, but most people do. Instagram or Facebook as an example, a place where most people have a community of those they already know. You can post, just make a casual post now and again that says, just in case that you didn't know, I'm currently offering book editing services. If you need a book editor, I hope you'll think of me, and link them to your portfolio. And just do this every so often to remind people, get your name in their head that you are someone they know that does this specific thing, so that not only if they need that service, they will come to you, but they will speak your name in rooms of opportunity. If they hear that someone else needs that, they will think of you and hopefully connect you. Just by posting on social media with people that I already know that I edit books, I've received a ton of inquiries from people that I know, whether it's for a current project, a friend's project, or they just say, hey, I've always wanted to write a book. I'm gonna keep you in mind if I need a book editor in the future. The second one is kind of more as a creator. So if you are creating content, or if you would like to start creating content on, say, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc., just start talking about what you're doing. I wasn't exactly sure what to share at first, but I just started talking about the fact that I was a freelancer on TikTok, specifically through my daily vlogs, and just answering people's questions. A lot of people often ask me, how'd you get into freelance book editing? How do you get started on Fiverr, etc.? And I just started answering those questions to the best of my ability, and including my work as a freelancer in my day-to-day vlogs and typical posting. And so that creates another client funnel of people that I don't know that are just a part of my following or see my videos on social media, that if they need a book editor, they might check out my profile and come to me. There's also LinkedIn, and they've recently added a feature that you can actually offer services on your LinkedIn profile. Put it on your profile that you're a freelancer offering X, Y, and Z, and then also create that section of services that you offer so that people can contact you directly through LinkedIn to work with you. The last little thing that I'll share about finding clients is that communities can be extremely important. I highly recommend that you follow other freelancers Join freelancing communities on Facebook, Discord, Slack, etc. Join groups where people are sharing freelance work. Maybe your first job could be someone outsourcing work to you. Try to meet other people that are doing what you're doing, whether it's online or in real life, and share information with them. Putting yourself out there in these communities can yield so much more than you could ever imagine, even if it's just kind of staying in the know on the new things, the new ways that people are doing this, or frankly meeting friends that can encourage you that are doing the same things that you're doing. It's infinitely valuable. A lot of people are getting jobs from Facebook groups and other things like that. I'm personally in one called I Need a Book Editor, where editors can post about their services and authors can post their kind of job postings of looking for an editor, and people can contact them directly. Once you have that off the ground and are doing all of these various things to find clients, things are just going to kind of take off for you. You know, you'll need to work really hard, of course, and then just keep yourself open to the opportunities that are coming to you and follow them. You know, see what service takes off, see what platform takes off for you, see which groups and Discord channels and stuff you feel happy and comfortable being a part of. See if content feels like something that will be part of your strategy. And from there on, I would just say make sure you're always carving out time, not only to do your freelancing work itself, but also to continue developing your business. We're never settling, we're never putting all of our eggs in one basket. I'm constantly trying to continue growing in different ways, whether it's finding more organic clients, whether it's making my portfolio look even better, adding new work samples, whether it's adding my services on LinkedIn or applying for a new opportunity, or posting a new video about something that I'm doing, writing an ebook to become a passive income product for my business, or researching filing an LLC one day. I'm constantly not only working on freelance work and customer service for my business and all of that stuff, but also just looking for ways for my business to continue growing in a way that feels authentic and valuable to me. Okay, that was a ton of information. I feel like I have been talking absolutely forever, but I hope that this was genuinely useful to you, and I know that there's so much more to this. Please do let me know any questions that you have in the comments. Definitely let me know if you'd be interested in an ebook or a course that goes into more detail about all of this. And if I could bring this down to one thing, it's to just get started. So many people keep asking me the same question of how do you freelance? How do you get started freelancing? You just need to do it. Start researching, you know, take the first step, because it's not just going to happen on its own. You need to take control of what you want your future to look like. And if you think that freelancing might be a part of that, you need to start today. Stop putting it off. The version of you a year from now that is, you know, making more money and is building something for themselves is going to thank the today version of you that decided to start. That's my little pep talk for you. Again, I really hope this was useful. If you've gotten to this point, thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful for you, please give this a like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if there's other videos that you'd like to see about freelancing. I will be happy to make them. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.